let's move on. We've got David Barker on the line with us, and he's launching a new centrist e-society party. And will be standing as the first e-society MP in Poplar and Limehouse. So, David, thank you very much for joining us on Saturday Morning Live.
Great, thanks for having me.
Not a problem. So, tell us a bit about the e-society party.
Yes, so it actually started as a book. I published my book in January, and that was about the need for society to get better, where everyone has equality of opportunity, people are empowered and enterprising. And I felt, part autobiography, I've got my own story of struggle to get equality, and I feel more has to be done. And I've been feeling for a couple of years that we need more politicians going for election. I've decided to do that myself, not just stand as an independent in Poplar and Limehouse, but to actually create a new centrist party called E-Society, because I feel that we need, because for the moderates, people like me that are moderate, I don't feel there's a party out there for them, and I feel this could be the party we need.
But why Poplar and Limehouse?
Well, for me, my passion is child poverty. I came out of poverty myself in the north of England as a child. My parents struggled with child benefit, but I got my opportunity through the old YTS scheme. That got me an apprenticeship. It got me into work, and then I became one of the first internet entrepreneurs in 1994. So that very real story of coming out of poverty, but then becoming an entrepreneur and growing that. But then I exited the private sector in 2004 because I felt not enough being done to help most people who are still trapped in unemployment. So for me, standing in Poplar and Limehouse, which is the third highest child poverty rate in the UK at 43%, is where I need to stand, because for Poplar and Limehouse, it's got Canary Wharf, it's got a lot of wealth, but it's got that paradox of a lot of people in poverty, and 43% is not good enough for this age.
I mean, Poplar and Limehouse at the 2015 election was a strong Labour hold with 58.5% of the share. How do you, how's your campaign going? I mean, will it not be a stiff task to overturn Labour in that seat?
It is, and as an entrepreneur, the way I'm approaching this is I'm creating something new for the future. So whatever happens next, I'll just keep building on that. And I've already had interest from people to potentially stand as an E-Society candidate in local elections in the future. So this is the start of something new, I feel.
And so, David,
speaking to the electorate and knocking on the doors, they're struggling. They're voting a protest vote. So rather than voting for who they believe, they're actually protesting, which I think we need to tackle. But also, the fact it's 43% still child poverty, and yes, Labour's been in power there for nearly 20 years. I think there's time for change, and I think the time to change actually could be my standing getting elected, and not just, actually starting something new as a party as well at the same time.
So why don't you talk to us to maybe say 3 of your big policies that you would like to enact if you were to be elected?
Well, for me, going back to child poverty, we've got to deal with child. I mean, last year the government collapsed and shut down the child poverty unit, and that to me shows a lack of commitment to dealing with this issue. So for me, one is I want to get the child poverty unit re-established in government with focus and properly resourced, so we can really get to work on ending child poverty. But then we've got to look at the issues like child benefits freezes. We've got to deal with that lack of affordable housing. I was speaking to a resident who's on social housing, pays £650 a month, wants to have a life where he's not on that, but then to rent the same house where he lives is £2,000 a month, and he can't see a way for him to grow his income, to actually break free from social housing. So we need to deal with lack of affordable housing, some kind of bridge between social housing and private. There's got to be something new. So it's got to be about re-establishing the child poverty unit. It's got to be about the right level of child benefits, which my parents were on when I was a child, and also affordable housing.
But this sounds like fairly safe Labour ground, doesn't it?
It is, and again, it's for me, it's about building for the future. So establishing a party, it's about.
No, sorry, I mean those policies, wouldn't they? They would fit quite nicely in even this year's Labour manifesto, wouldn't they?
They would, and actually, over the last couple of years, when I decided to go into politics, I've had dialogue with the Labour Party, I've had dialogue with the Conservative Party. I've been developing myself of, which should I stand for. But I felt that there's still, for me, I'm a centrist, and I think we need to balance aspirations of helping the poor, everyone have get on in life with the need for good business and social enterprise. So I feel I'm more of a balance between business, government and civil society.
Sure.
I'm very much centrist, so I feel Labour's gone very left for me.
Okay.
And I feel I need to do this independently whilst, I think, creating a new centrist party.
And so what do you think about the chances of some sort of political realignment post this election? Do you see that happening? Do you see the kind of right of the Labour Party formally breaking away?
Well, you mentioned it just before I joined the call about a breakaway of MPs under a new banner. And again, I mean, as a tech entrepreneur, I spent 20 years, and you see industries change. The big incumbents, it changes to more of a collective of smaller organisations working together. So I think, actually, to be honest, as we drive forward, I think we'll see a new politics. I think we'll see a new way of Britain doing politics in this country that will be more representative of the nation for today and tomorrow. But we're a little bit stuck, in the 20th century. I think we need to drive forward. What do we need for a modern Britain and a modern world going forward?
What are your views on Brexit? And are you pro or hard Brexit or more soft Brexit and remaining? Would you want a second referendum?
Well, it's interesting actually. When I first heard about Brexit, I was very much we've got to remain, we've got to be part of the European Union. But I was actually on a training and development program. It took me to the UN in Geneva, and I actually heard things that I realised we need to come out of the EU, not to stand alone, but I think we need a new way for countries to work together. And having blocks of countries, I don't think is a prosperous future for the world. So actually, I think Brexit's a good thing. I think the negative thing will be hard Brexit. So it's got to be a centrist-based. It's got to be a deal that works for everybody, which is why I'm focusing on child poverty, homelessness, youth, because if we focus on that, we should be designing Brexit and plans and deals around the health of the nation, not just whether it's hard or soft, but actually what is the needle we're trying to move as a society, and then let's design plans around that. Is really how I'm approaching this.
Well, David, thank you very much for talking to us on Saturday Morning Live on the Voice of Islam radio. And we wish you all the best with your campaign.
Excellent. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, David.